Were there times where you felt like, wow, did I make the right decision? I miss home. I just want to get out of here. Did you ever have those thoughts in your mind?
When I tell you it was an emotional roller coaster, I probably didn't feel comfortable like this was my home until a year in.
A year in.
A year in. And I went through the peaks and valleys of, oh, it's a great decision why I moved here. You know, when you think, and I think you learn quickly, like living abroad, that money isn't everything. It's great, it helps, but it's not everything. And that doesn't define happiness.
No, it doesn't define happiness, man.
Let's flat out. Big teams, big boys, right? My highs and lows inherit growth, Mr. Deeds. Went from juggling 3 jobs to CEO like I'm Steve. Never been a rotten apple, call me John Appleseed. That's how I bleed. God can see no other man can judge me. Call him Mike, Mr. International, getting cream. Single mother told me worth, and now I'm worth everything. Went from Wall Street to Abu Dhabi, straight rolling in a Maserati with women that feel exotic. My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement. Last
What's
flight
going
out,
on, man?
Flat out.
Welcome back to Last Flight Out podcast. Once again, we're your hosts, Mike and Jay. Thanks for everybody for tuning back in. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up button for the LFO boys. It will really help us out with in the algorithm. YouTube really appreciates that kind of engagement. And also please follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Follow the podcast page at Last Flight Out Podcast. You can follow me personally on my Instagram at jlubriel26, and you can follow Mike at.
Follow me at If Mike Was Here.
Exactly.
Simple.
So, Mike, so last time we gave the people a little bit of a broad overview as to how we got here, our journey from New York over to the UAE, and for me from London, then to the UAE. And we sort of hit things sort of at a 30,000 feet type of perspective. And I think we owe the people now a bit of a more granular detail as to how exactly we got here in the UAE, talking about the visa process, the recruitment process, the financial aspects of being here when you first get here, and also the emotional aspects, which we'll hit later on in the episode. So how about we just jump right into it and you talk to the people and describe, did you get recruited? Did you look for the job yourself? How was the recruitment process? How did it come about? Like you were sitting somewhere in New York at one point, right? So somebody gave you a call. What exactly happened? Because you did mention you didn't know what Abu Dhabi was when the guy called you saying, hey, would you like to come out here?
Exactly. And just to note to the people, like, I think our experiences are unique. There's different ways to come out here, but we're just going to highlight our way. And then also we're going to let you know other ways you can find your way overseas in general, or to come out here. But for me, it was just recruited through LinkedIn. I was fortunate enough to interview, and the interview process is long. So things move kind of slowly here.
Yeah.
So it's not like
what do they say? Like 9 months to 12 to a year, right?
9 months to a year to get out here, depending on the industry you're in. But for the most part, it's not like in the States where you get 2-3 interviews and you're hired and start working.
Don't give your notice. Do not give your notice in just because you get a call and they say they like you. And it's perfectly normal from what I've heard is that from those initial interviews, you don't hear for months.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, so don't take that as you gotten rejected, right? And I think in the States, if people don't hit you back up in a few months, you're like, all right, you didn't get the job, but not here. So sorry about that, man. Go right ahead.
Yeah. No, so it was like, it was exactly probably like 9 months till I got the offer letter, So
you must have forgot about it though by the time.
But yeah, I mean, no, I wanted it so much because like when you're invested, because it was like probably once a month or every 3 weeks, it was a video call, Zoom call, things like that. They do a thorough background check. So literally my situation, I'm a junior. So some things came up that it wasn't on my name. It was like, hold on,
they're like, who is this? Yeah.
Exactly. So make sure everything is just
copacetic, clean, everything good. So you got the call, you got the DM from the LinkedIn recruiter. Okay, so what was the next step?
Yeah, so the next step was one, I was fortunate enough to fly out here, do an in-person interview. So I got to see the place for myself, see if this was a place that I wanted to live for a few years and things like that. So that worked out. And then the process of when I land, I think you get that temporary visa.
Right.
But then once you're on the ground here, everyone here is kind of sponsored by an employer for the most part.
For the most
you know, and that's why everyone here has a visa. And with that, most employers got to either provide housing and got to provide health insurance. Yeah. So when people think that, oh, you come over here, you're rich and there's no homeless people, it's just because the rules and regulations that they have in place, it protects the society from that, where everybody kind of has shelter here, healthcare.
And it kind of works towards the perception of the country, right? Like the country is 11 million people, 10 million of them are expats, right?
Yeah.
So if you by definition of expat, you came here for a job. Right.
Exactly.
Which means if you came here for a job and got recruited, they're going to make sure you're at least living somewhere and you have health insurance.
Exactly.
There's electricity that's running, and there's water that you can bathe with, right?
Exactly.
So it's sort of, you're not going to just come here. It's not like in New York where people just go there sometimes with $2 in their pocket, a few things in their knapsack, and they go to try to make it in New York City, right? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But here, if you come here for a job and you get fired, you're pretty much leaving, right?
Yeah,
for the most part.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean,
and then there's other ways you can get here. So I recently got my golden visa, and that's a way where now I'm not sponsored by my company. I'm sponsored on my own, and there's many different qualifications for that golden visa. You get the golden visa by investing in real estate, a certain amount. I forget the specific amount, but if you're a big investor, you could get it there. If you're a doctor, a PhD lawyer, you can also get the golden visa.
Or if you make a certain amount every month as well, right?
Exactly. And the thing about the golden visa is now it protects you where if you do get fired from your job, usually if you're sponsored by the company, you have about 3 months and then you have to leave the country.
Right.
You know, where if you have the golden visa, you're kind of here on your own merit and you sponsor yourself. So that's some of the benefits. With that.
And you did mention at the beginning of the episode that the way we came here, and I'll get more into details to how exactly I got recruited here as well, it is a rarity.
Yeah.
So our way of getting here is usually not the I guess the normal course of the way that most people get here. It's usually job boards. They go on LinkedIn, right? And just based upon what I've heard from other people that have been here, you have to be in country. A lot of them don't like to do video interviews or phone calls. You usually have to be here.
Yeah.
But the UAE does have a lot of visas that allow you to be here. They have tourist visas so you can come here. They have job seeker visas, right?
Exactly.
They have, I think you can set up companies or, right? Like where
you could do remote work here.
You could do a remote working visa, right?
They have like a 1-year visa for remote workers and all that.
Right.
And so there's many ways you could get your foot in the door to kind of get out here. You know, we're fortunate enough that it was like everything was set for us and laid out. But there is a way if you save up a bit and you're like, all right, let me try this for 3 months and see if I could get somewhere, and you're just out interviewing, talking to people, you can land yourself a job.
Obviously, getting recruited is the easiest way.
Yeah,
so
the best way.
It's the best way.
Everything is sorted out.
It's the best way. But I guess if you can't go that way, there's another alternative, right? And it is a growing place. There's a lot of prominent industries. I mean, if you're in the tech industry, banking, lawyer, oil and gas, obviously, right? If you're in any of those industries, education, there's a lot of educators here in the country. Technology is booming here, right? And especially in Dubai, they have Dubai Media City, Dubai Internet City. In Abu Dhabi, they have Yas Island and the and
they have
ADGM, right? So there's a lot of these hubs that are being created here in the UAE to promote these industries because the country is trying to diversify its economy and moving away from energy and fossil fuels, right?
Exactly.
So it's sort of a place where they're trying to invite expats from all over the world, Americans, British people, Australians, and everywhere in between, right?
Exactly. So, and even if you have a startup idea, they are trying to incubate those ideas and bring them to the Middle East.
There are grants too, right?
Yeah.
There's grants for people with innovative ideas that they're willing to back, and and then the country's really trying to do the best to diversify. So now that we spoke about sort of your process, and I guess for me,
tell me about yours, and also just that industry. You're a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So is that a big market here, or
actually it is? It is. It's a growing market. One, because there's a lot of clients here that are, like I said, they're trying to diversify their investment portfolios, right?
Okay.
So what they're trying to do, they're trying to invest in other industries, right? You have Adias of the world, you have the ADQs, you have the Mubaladas, you have ADNOC, right? Who's trying to do in the media, they're always doing stuff. They're trying to move away. They're energy focused, but they're trying to move along with the times of being progressive. So yeah, there's a growing need for lawyers out here to do the work, to execute on those transactions, which is, thankfully for me, there was a need for someone who does my type of work. I'm a capital markets lawyer by trade, and they're just trying to raise capital by selling off pieces of their investment portfolios. But the way I got recruited, I was already with my previous firm, and I was out of one of their U.S. offices. And I had a partner who was based in the Middle East reach out to me saying, look, there's a position here for secondment in one of our clients. One of our big clients here needs a secondee. And I sort of jumped at the opportunity because at the time it was during the pandemic. I was back in the US. I had to go back, what I mentioned in our first episode, that I had to go back for health reasons. Yeah. So I didn't want to go back to the US because I was like, I had this glowing need to go back. I had to go back to take care of something. So I was looking for ways to get back out. I was thinking about Europe, going back to London. The UAE, I heard one other person who was here, and not that they had anything bad to say, but they weren't trying to sell it to me either, right? Oh, okay. So it was okay. I was like, okay. But I was like, at the time I wanted to be challenged. Yeah. And I said, sure. I said, sure. And I went. I was there within a month. I was here within me saying yes. So I got my visa, like my temporary visa. Then I got my permanent visa, which was connected to my employment. And they put me up. I actually didn't have to jump into a permanent hotel. I got put into temporary housing. I was in corporate housing for 2.5 years until very recently, where I had to go through this whole process of navigating through a rent. So we'll get into that now shortly, but it was too much. So I got here, and then, they put me on temporary housing and up and running. And that was probably, from a professional standpoint, the busiest 2 years I had, because of how much deal volume and transactions were being executed in such a short amount of time, because the company is just running a sprint right now, and the country itself. So so going back to, I guess, moving away from like the nitty-gritty process of getting recruited, and also we did mention getting recruited, but there's also job boards, right? LinkedIn is one, right? There's local job boards that people can look at. Also, what I've realized is word of mouth.
Yeah,
right?
That's big
here. It's big.
And relationships, networking,
networking, right?
Yeah, so that goes a long way.
I know networking goes a long way everywhere you go, but especially here.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Especially here.
So you got to go out.
You have to
have that coffee.
Have that coffee.
Have that tea.
Have that tea. Go have that shisha. That's my personal favorite networking.
We might have to bring the shisha in the studio, man.
We're gonna talk about that. All right. So moving on. So when you first got here, did they put you in corporate housing? Did you have to find an apartment immediately? Like what was the leeway with the apartment search?
So when I first got here, they give you an allowance, or a month's allowance, where they pay for a hotel. So any hotel of your choosing, or they have like an allotment of hotels, and you just pick the one. Most of them are like, depending on the size of your family, but I got a 1-bedroom suite. And it was pretty cool, but after 1 month you being in a hotel, for me, like, I like to cook and all that.
Man, you don't need to tell me about that, man. I was in a hotel for 4 months, and it was just too much, that hotel living.
Yeah, exactly. So and that gives you enough time to find an apartment that you like, and then from there, then move in and start to actually live here.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't actually hit you. And I'm thinking, you've been here 2 years, but now it's gonna be like, yo, you're living here. You're paying internet bill. You're paying the water.
I was paying for that anyway, man. It was all included. Now I'm just getting separate bills.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just getting hit differently. I'm getting hit differently. And it feels like I'm paying more money, but in fact, I just had it all rolled up into one. But okay, so did you use a realtor here?
The first time,
you're a hustler, so no, you're like
exactly. So you know me. First time here though, I'll use all the services, realtor. Okay. But then when I'm here, I'm like, the second place that I moved to and all that, I straight up just go to buildings. And that's the thing here. You could use a realtor. And how much are the realtor fees?
So a realtor fee is, I just finished the process, 5% of the yearly rent.
Yeah.
Right. It's the yearly rent. So 5% of the yearly rent, and you have to pay a security deposit. So if the apartment is furnished, it's 10% of the yearly rent. Or if it's not furnished, it's 5%. So depending, it's usually in total 15% of the yearly rent in addition to paying up the yearly rent.
And what we're not used to, it's standard here to pay a year's worth of rent
up front.
So
that's another thing. If you're coming here, you need to have that rent upfront, at least worst case scenario. The standard is 1 year upfront. So if your apartment's $30,000 a year, you need to have $30,000.
Exactly.
Plus the 15% additional to that.
Exactly.
So it's not a cheap endeavor. However, there's some landlords that are flexible that can do monthly or they can do quarterly, whatever your arrangement is, or semi-annually. Usually what I've learned with those type of arrangements, they charge higher rent. Right?
Yeah.
The rent will be higher as opposed to just one
Well,
year.
you can negotiate better. If you're like, hey, I got one check for you,
yeah.
you can negotiate your rent better. It's easier to do it that way. But everyone, this is like the standard. But people that come here and that's on the grind hustling, some people will take out an Airbnb for a month.
That's true, yeah.
2 months and things like that. So there's ways to get around it. We're just saying like the typical standard process.
Right. And then what about, I just finished this setting up, and then you have to, it's not like the States, you have to get DWA there, which is the electric and water company, right? You have to get Royal Gas so they can connect the gas.
Exactly.
Internet, I had no internet for 2 weeks. No internet in my crib for 2 weeks, man. There was no Netflix.
I told you to call them.
I did.
And set it up before you move. You was like,
I moved on the 1st of the month and they didn't come here till just today. So I was like, damn, I'm over here like, why can't I get this internet? But it was actually nice to be disconnected from the internet, right? Because it made me more productive when I was home. Got to read some books. I actually just got the Rick Rubin book, so so I'm
I gotta get that one.
I'm reading a few pages of that. And yeah, so the internet, dealing with service providers here. Let's talk about that a little bit. That's way different. You know how in the United States everything's about customer service. Everyone, there's love. They'll get there immediately. They will treat you like you are the last person standing on earth. Not here, and that's not a bad thing. I just think that customer service is just viewed a different way in other places in the world, right? So,
and it depends what customer service, but for things like turning on your cable, your internet,
you can forget that. They come in whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
You available only on Saturday. They come in on Monday.
You'll make the appointment, tell them come 4 to 6. They're gonna call you at 12 p.m.
Like, I'm here.
Right?
Can you
Exactly.
come? Like, I told you 4 to 6 like 2 hours ago. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So so we got our apartment. So in your case, you got a monthly allowance or whatever it was to stay in a hotel until you got situated.
Yeah, exactly.
I had the same as well, and I had to deal with the realtor. I had to deal with the security deposit stuff. It was a disaster, but we got it done.
And just to give people a heads up too, when I first got here, the company I worked for, process was different. It was easy. They paid everything up front for me, you know.
Oh, they paid up front. They would just take it out.
Okay. And then so like that.
From your check every month. So essentially you're paying every month. They front.
Yeah, they just fronted me.
Okay.
But then things change and policies change. And there's different ways to go about it. I know some people that they have interest-free loans out here. So
yeah, no, they have interest-free loans. So a lot of companies out here, they'll give you an interest-free loan up to a certain amount to get a car.
Exactly. That's what I did for my first car. I took out an interest-free loan.
It's just free money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's free money. Like, why would you not leverage, right? If you have the
Exactly.
opportunity to do it. And there's no interest, which means that they're losing money because the value of the dollar just decreases over time, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, so that's some of but that's one of the incentives too. They try to get you out here, right?
Yeah.
So they have housing allowances, right, as part of your salary. And I think this is a good time for us transitioning from like getting rent or like renting an apartment. You can either do it Mike's way, which is just go to the building, which I think in Abu Dhabi is a lot easier.
Yeah.
As opposed to Dubai, because I don't know who, because I think in Abu Dhabi, they have a lot of management companies on site, as opposed to Dubai, where maybe that's not the case. So you have to go through a realtor. So you just have to do means to an end, use the realtor to get into the building.
Yeah.
We cover DWA, electricity, water, gas, internet. You just have to be patient with those service providers, and they're gonna come. Hopefully, you just deal with Deliveroo. You can hotspot, go to a shisha cafe, coffee cafe to get your internet, and you're fine. Which they do stay late out here. They stay open late, so you can get work done overnight. So let's move on to, I guess, the financial aspect of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like when you first get paid here, it's, in the US, you may just get a salary, but here it's actually different components that make up your compensation. Here's compensation. It's not, your salary per se, because your base salary is a much lower number than what you actually get paid every month.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess this portion, we're just to know, because we got people from everywhere watching.
Oh, yeah.
So this is, I guess, strictly for like the US people right here, because, most people have 401ks and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, if you work for a local company here, they're not going to have a 401k.
There's no 401k.
And then you can't invest in your 401k from here. Like you can't go put money in. You got to get like a Roth IRA or rollover.
We're not financial accountants. This is
Yeah,
not financial advice. This is not financial
everything
advice.
we're saying, just look it up.
Just go verify it. Go get your accountant. Go get your. This is our experience. But yeah. So when you first get here, you looked at these numbers. How did you navigate sort of like the salary negotiation process? Like how were you? Did you? I mean, was it easy? Was it hard?
For my situation, there was no negotiating. Like they don't negotiate.
They were like, here's the number.
It is what it is, but it's a great number.
It's a great number.
You know,
it was definitely a bump.
Oh yeah, it was a bump. But you know what the thing is too? When you first look at it, so number wise, it could be the same. But then you just look at everything else that you're not paying for and what you actually get to keep.
Right.
And then the thing is, what you keep in your pocket is crazy.
It's way more, yeah.
Yeah, so it's way more. Because in the States, you have to pay taxes and things like that.
Especially in New York City, state, local.
Exactly.
You're getting banged all over the place.
Exactly. So here, you don't pay any state taxes. You do have to file. So I file every year.
You do have to file your U.S. taxes as a U.S. citizen. That's the one wrinkle with us and everyone else in the world.
Yeah.
British, Australians, any other expat do not have to file taxes back home generally.
Yeah. So
us as Americans, you have to file taxes back in the U.S. and you have to report all the income that comes into your bank account. And you have to file your FinCEN every year, right? To report foreign bank accounts, right? So you do have to stay compliant with that even if you're outside the U.S. But the good thing is, and I guess I could speak to this, is that when I lived in the UK, you have to pay British taxes, UK taxes, and I still have to file back in the US. Yeah. So fortunately, between the UK and the US, there's a treaty because the UK charges generally higher tax rates than in the US. So because of that, you get forgiven. But you do accumulate foreign tax credits, which is great, right? So you can, that again, I'm not an accountant, so you can use that to offset future credits if you ever go to a place like Dubai or low tax rate environment. So you can sort of save your money that way.
And we're not tax advisors, but one, I think, generic kind of benefit that you could throw out here. So say if you make 150,000 out here, the first 100K is exempt.
I think it's higher. It's 120 now.
Oh, it's 100. Okay,
it's 120.
I use a tax accountant. I don't even want to get into that. I just give them all my paperwork and documents.
Up to a certain amount of, I think your first portion of your salary is tax free.
Exactly.
Plus you get the housing benefit.
And you get a housing benefit. So just to make this simple, if you make 150, you get 120 exempt. So it seems like you're just paying, if you do have to pay taxes, it'll be on the 30K, which is significantly lower than paying on the whole 150. But there's other benefits like housing exemptions, which you could add on that. So you're not even going to pay on the whole 30K. You wouldn't even
pay it 130K. You may be tax free in certain scenarios, right? Depending on how high your rent is here, right? So there are you are better off here than you are back in places like New York or Los Angeles, where those cities tend to be tax higher. So there is a financial incentive to come here, right? Exactly. And I guess from a compensation perspective, when you first get out here, you alluded to it. You're keeping home great, right? Like when you first got here, were you just blowing through money? Like, were you financially savvy? Did it take you a while before you got there? Did you purposely sort of say, you know what, like I'm going to spend everything I got because I want to make sure I have a great time, and then further down the road, I'll sort of like handle that? Because you see a lot of it out here, man. Yeah. Like guys get out here, they start buying Porsches, Rolls Royces, rates because they can do it. Yeah. They're spending all this money in lavish apartments, but they're not really saving, and sometimes they're going out of debt. And they're going into debt, right? Yeah. And I did read a statistic that 60% of expats that come to the UAE leave in a worse financial position than they were when they first got here, which is crazy to think about.
You get caught up in the hype. You know?
You get caught up in the hype.
Easy.
And that's
easy.
true. You know what? UAE hype is a thing.
Yeah,
UAE hype is a thing, man. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, you go everywhere, you see the nice cars, the beautiful buildings and all that. So it's like
nice restaurants. Exactly. You can go out every night. You see clothing. There's Dior, Chanel. Now it's all within range for a lot of these people, right? And they've never had it before, and they go crazy.
Exactly.
So why don't you just give a little bit of an insight as to how you handled all that, coming into this newfound income?
So for me, I kind of went a little crazy when I first came here. Like, so apartment wise, it's like I wanted to walk right to my job. I moved into the World Trade Center in Abu Dhabi, tallest building in Abu Dhabi. And you know, we from New York. So it was like, yo, I gotta live in the World Trade Center.
Gotta live in the WTC.
54th floor and all that. And I had 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms for myself.
You didn't even need all that. You didn't need all that.
No, but you know what it is? Everybody, I'm gonna come visit you. You definitely can't have 1 bedroom.
Oh, man. Hold on. We're gonna get into that in another episode, but let's touch upon that quickly. How many people tell you as soon as you move somewhere, yo, I'm gonna come and visit you.
Yo, I'm coming. Yo, have that couch ready. Have that extra bedroom ready.
You over here counting all these other people who are coming, never come. Something happens, something's quick, but you see them on IG going to Florida, going to Cali, doing this and doing that. Man,
the real ones that come repeatedly.
Right.
Because if they do come, they'll come one time.
And that's all they need. Yeah, Once they're here, they're like, yo, I'm coming back all the time. This is a great life. And then from here, you can jump into other spots, man. You can go to other places in the Middle East. You can go to Asia, Europe. It's right there, man. Yeah. So anyway, when you first got here, 3 bedrooms, 4 baths. And then, so you're spending way too much money on rent.
Spent it on the rent.
Okay.
What is it? Got a little Audi A5, but it was fine. Nothing was in debt. My thing was just, all the extra income. You're like, I got it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm splurging. So not necessarily saving.
And an A5, let's not downplay an A5. A5 is a nice car, right? It's a nice, it's crazy. It's nothing crazy,
and that's something like I just paid it in cash. Like got the loan, but loan was paid off in a year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. So, because I'm like, all right, I don't want to be in debt.
You're like, oh, no, I don't exactly. I don't want to have any creditors. So you splurged on the rent. You splurged a little bit on your car. I'm assuming you were going out. You're a foodie. I know you was going out.
Yeah, so exactly.
You was eating.
So going out to the nice spots, all the restaurants, and I love to travel. Yeah. So vacations got extra. That's what
there's a difference
before.
Yeah.
But now there's a difference when I travel. It was like, let's get the suite. Let's
do this. Let's do this thing with the balcony. Oh man, even if I don't eat breakfast, let's get that included, right? Oh, I want the chauffeur picking me up from the airport, right?
Exactly.
It's like all these little things now are realistic, and you can I can fly business now.
Exactly.
Right? Like, damn, when you come out, when I was in the US, I was flying economy everywhere. When I first moved to London and I got out here, I was like, damn, economy.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could do that. not to sound bougie, not to sound bougie or anything like that, but you start tasting, the Steve Harvey sound clip, right? You go into business class or you fly like that repeatedly, it becomes a habit.
It does.
And then instinctively your habits, the way you work, your hustle, your grind are like, I need to maintain this lifestyle, which could be a good or bad thing depending on what your mental state is at the time, right? But
what's crazy when I first started working in general, right? I'm like, I was living good, and you see the salary. Like, for example, I was making $50,000 when I first started.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was living good, and then the more you get, your lifestyle just grows, and you're like,
it's that lifestyle creep, man. And I think
crazy.
I think you and me talk about it offset all the time, right? Like where I could have gone crazy on the apartment, but I didn't. I kept it. I kept the ample. Now I'm looking for a car. I'm searching for a car.
I'm going crazy.
I can go wild. No, I can go wild and get me a little 911, something like that.
Going wild.
No. I think I'm gonna have to humble myself. Maybe get the Mercedes E-Class or whatever it is. Those are nice cars, right? But you can legitimately go wild.
You can
with these cars that you see out here, right? But for what at the end of the day, right? Yeah. I like to think I'm a disciplined person from a financial perspective, only because I guess when I first got to London, my first year, I blew through everything. But that was a conscious decision I made because in New York, I was 4 years university, 4 years of law school. I went to law school at night, and I kept 3 jobs while I was studying.
Yeah.
So I almost had no fun. Okay. So I said, you know what? It's my first year out of the U.S.
You got to get that
I got to get it. I got to blow through all this steam. All this stuff I should have done in college, I was doing at 26, 27 years old. Yeah. Still a little late, but still early enough to be doing it where you don't look ridiculous out there. And I said, okay, I got myself together, got myself a wealth manager, got myself great accountants, got myself a good financial team. And I sort of just been on this track for the last few years of my life where I don't spend if I don't have it. Yeah. I don't own a Rolex. I'll be straight up. I don't own a Rollie. I don't own anything I don't own any Cartier Love bracelets. I could get them if I want to, but I'm sort of focused on other things, right? I try to stay disciplined because I'm thinking about the long-term dollar. I'm thinking about, I'm still very young, man. I'm only 32 years old. Like I'm okay if I get the Rollie at 38. I don't care about all these guys out here in Dubai, and not to I'm not judging it, I'm not looking down on it, but that's just not the road I want to go down, right? Like you see these 27, 26, 25-year-olds with 3-4 rollies already, right? But
so question, what was the best advice you got, or what put you onto, let me get a wealth manager and things like that? Like, yeah.
The best advice I ever got, I mean, what put me on to getting a wealth manager was because I always knew when I was younger, I wanted to live a certain quality of life, longevity, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think about 3 L's, your 3 L's: legacy, life, which is your current state of play, longevity. How do you make your standard of living elongate, right? Basically keep it sustained for a sustained period of time, and then legacy. So I always thought, okay, I need to make a certain amount of money to live a certain lifestyle. I need to sort of make that elongate, or sort of like make it sustainable. Yeah. So that's where the wealth advisors came in, right? Like, how do I manage my money? How much should I be saving? How much should I be investing? What type of investment account should I make? I have a brokerage account, Roth IRA, 401k, right? These health saving plans, right? And things like that. So you need to have all these diversified buckets of money that while you're sleeping, you can still be making money, right? Because the most dangerous thing to be is one source of income.
Oh, yes.
Right? That's the most dangerous thing to be, right? Because if I lose my job today, I can afford my apartment, but then I'm dipping into my investments, right? Yeah. And I think that for me, ever since I was a little kid, I was always delayed, and I was always a late bloomer. So like in high school, when like, you know, Jays used to drop all the time, I would always get them like a season late. So if the 2s dropped in March, I'm getting them in September, but I always got them, right? Yeah. And I remember when I graduated college, my first job, I made $10 an hour. Everybody else was making 60, 70K.
Wait, when you graduated college?
I graduated college. My first job was I wasn't a lawyer. I was a paralegal. College, man. Not law school. Now I'm doing much better. But like, what I'm saying is that like I used to sort of be like, damn, like I'm over here, killed myself in university for 4 years. I still got 4 more years of law school to go. I got to get more experience. And the people around me that I kept close said, don't worry about the dollars now. Worry about the dollars of tomorrow, because right now what you need is experience, because you're still young.
Exactly.
So, you know, I followed that advice, had a struck a luck, hard work, and now I'm in a great place. But all those people in college are still in the same spot. Yeah, exactly. So I've always wanted sustained elevation in my life. Yeah. Now I don't need spikes and valleys. I want to just keep going like this.
And everyone got to know, like, we all started from somewhere. Like, it's not just instant. You know, my first job, I started where the company I got into, it was through an internship. You know, I graduated, and it was a really prestigious company. I was like, all right, I'll intern for you guys, like whatever. Just get me in the door, and I'll take it from there.
Okay. And what about, so did you fall victim at all a little bit to the amount of, I guess, for lack of a better term, all the flexing that goes on out here in Dubai? Does that, you're much older now, so you and me don't really get fazed by that now today, but had I come here when I was 26, I think I would have made all the financial pitfalls that a lot of people would make. Getting a nice car, buying the jewelry. And I'm not saying all these guys can't afford it, but I'm like, I've never seen so many Rolexes in Dubai and in the UAE like I've seen here. Like, I'm like, there's just no way that everyone here can afford all this.
Sometimes it's cap.
Sometimes it's cap. But that's the one thing about the UAE a little bit. It is cap nation out here, for sure, right? I do have to say that out here. A lot of people be capping because they feel like they have to keep up with the Joneses. But I think there's much more, I think it takes a certain level of maturity to really take advantage of living here.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, one of the things that I did, and I'm not a real estate guy, I'm a stocks guy. Yeah. So like I did, like, so when I first got here, I splurged a little bit, like when I was going out, you know, I had to get that off. Yeah. But then one thing is, I just wanted something tangible to show for it. Yeah, right. So like within the first 2 years, and I think that's why I live in here. If you're in a better situation financially, you kind of recover from those pitfalls. And so like within the first 2 years, I was able to save up a down payment. I bought a condo back in Austin and all that. And that was something I was like, all right, I got an asset, it's there. Right. If I do anything or mess up anything, I have a condo. I'm into real estate, and I got that property that I can leverage and all that. Right. So yes, that's what I did. And continually just learning and just refining. And, you know, for me, my thing is I be going through my ups and downs.
Which is fine, right? You're still constantly learning about yourself, right? And I think we're not promoting here not to have fun. Yeah, right? We're not saying, hey, but there are people in the majority, a handful of people that fall into having too much fun and they forget about the business and why they got here. I think if you have a purpose as to why you move here, what you're trying to accomplish, you're able to model your actions after that.
Definitely.
Like for me, I came here because it was financially lucrative for me, right? Like it was, I paid off all my student debt. I have no debt, right? Like, so sort of you were like you, I travel, man, we went to Baku. We had a crazy weekend in Mykonos. I just came back from Paris and Lisbon. We're talking about going to Beirut. We have a whole bunch of other travel plans that we couldn't at the end of the year. Yeah. And we travel more than most people will ever on the planet, right? So we're blessed from that standpoint, but we also take care of the investing and the savings. And also we don't fall victim to what other dudes have or what other girls may have.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. You can't.
You can't fall victim to that. You just gotta stay in your own lane. Don't merge any other lanes that may not be best for you just because you feel a little bit of social pressure. Yeah. So
and then also now you start getting paid monthly here.
Monthly, so that's the last point. Ooh, that's different, man. Sometimes you be having that blown. You get paid on the 25th. You have it blown by the 1st. You still gotta wait till the 25th. Man,
exactly.
Right. So that's another thing. Manage your money well, because here in the UAE and in most other places in the world, you get paid once a month.
Yeah. I learned quickly. I had to open up a couple accounts where I just broke up the check twice like that. So this, you go here, you go here.
Yeah. This is my first half of the month. This is the second half of the month.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah, that's another thing. And also you get paid in dirhams, not dollars when you're out here. Right. So that's another thing. Like you do have to be very good with how you manage your cash, because you only get it once every 30 days. It's not like back in the US. Sometimes you get paid every week. Sometimes you get paid twice a month. Right. So I don't hear many situations where you're going to get paid once a month back in the US. So that's another thing.
For me, I tried to line up all my bills that first of the month, pay all my bills out. So worst case scenario, lights are on.
Lights are on. You may not be going out to Koya.
Exactly.
You may not be going out to Zuma, but lights are on. And you could always put the Deliveroo for pay later.
The sandwich start hitting.
Yeah, sometimes you miss that Wagyu empanada.
Exactly.
There's always money in the account for me for that. But okay, so we spoke about sort of the detailed process, visa process. We spoke about financial process and sort of like, okay, managing money, getting paid once a month. We sort of like hit on like, look, like you can come out here and make this work from a financial perspective while also avoiding pitfalls. So there has to be a balance of living your life and being financially literate. Yep. Now let's talk about the emotional aspect, right? I think that's something that's now in modern times, especially with the millennials, sort of like the aspect that's just as important, right?
It is.
Right? So emotionally, when you first got out here, we spoke, you're here by yourself. Yeah. Were there times where you felt like, wow, did I make the right decision? I miss home. I just want to get out of here. Did you ever have those thoughts in your mind?
When I tell you it was an emotional roller coaster, I probably didn't feel comfortable like this was my home until a year in.
A year in.
And I went through the peaks and valleys of, it's a great decision why I moved here. When you think, and I think you learn quickly, like living abroad, that money isn't everything. It's great, it helps, but it's not everything. And that doesn't define happiness.
No, it doesn't define happiness, man.
So having family, friends, and out here, your friends become your family and all that. And having cool people that you can relate to, that it's not like, hey, let's just go party or anything like that. It's like having people that you can actually talk to and, do the good and the bad. That's key.
Now let me hit on that. So again, being an expat is not a vacation. You're coming here for a job. That's the reason why you're here. You're here to work. Yeah. Right. So that's first and foremost, and it's not a vacation. I think a lot of people get confused on IG, people living other ways. That's just one small piece of what it's like on the day-to-day grind of being an expat, especially in the UAE, because they do work you hard here. Yeah. Right. They do work you hard here. And do you think that what you just described, having to reacclimate yourself to a new environment of friends, a new environment, new atmosphere, that's probably the reason why people don't make the move to become an expat, right? That's probably
because then you got to start all over again, like making friends.
Exactly. You're 30 years in of making the same friends. You don't want to start making new friends, right? Like, so I think that risk of that fear of having to start somewhere new job. The new job is fine if it's in the same place, right? But like new friends, new routine. Yeah. Right. I have to start new routines just going from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. Yeah. Right. But because I'm so used to doing that, it's not a deterrent to me anymore. Yeah. Right. So do you think that, at least from your experiences, from what you spoke about with other people back home, do you think that's part of the reason why people don't move other places? Because they're like, I don't really want to be around new people. I don't want to go through the process of making new friends.
Exactly. And it is a challenging process. And even just the way I think, and even
because you're not going to gel with everybody.
Huh?
You're not going to gel with everybody.
You're not going to gel with everybody. You're going to be disappointed in certain people and all that, you know.
There's a lot of flakers out here.
A lot of fakers out
man,
here.
And I think and let me stop you right there. Tell me not. Being from New York, we're probably the most committed people to plans that I've ever met on this planet. And I can say that because I've lived in different places, and I'm sorry, but people from other places be flaking. Like, it's a thing where they're like, yeah, sure, well, let's link at Saturday. Yeah. And you waiting all day Saturday. Back in the city, like, yo, we're linking on Saturday.
And that's it. You don't even got to talk about it.
We don't got to talk anymore. Like, yo, we still up. Let's go. We up, right? Exactly, like, here's like, you got to follow up 3-4 times. So it's a whole thing with people from outside. Look, I'm not from anywhere.
That's when I know we'll click. Because it's like, either you're going to do it or you're not.
Exactly.
And if you're not going to, yo, Mike, I'm not.
I'm not doing it.
All right, that's it. That's it.
Yo, there's no hard feelings. Mike invites me all the time. Yo, let's do that. Nah, I'm good. Exactly. I invite Mike. Nah, I'm good. What's wrong with saying, nah, I'm good? Exactly, you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. It's like people don't want to tell me, I'm from New York. You're not going to be able to hurt me with that. Like, I'm good. Like, but anyway, sorry. So you were saying, is moving here and making new friends some of the deterrents that you've heard from your friends or your family? That
definitely. Like, how do you find friends, or people not really realizing how diverse this place is, where it is kind of international city. You're going to meet people from everywhere here, right, different walks of life. And I think this just challenges you to grow more. So being able to, all right, hey, how you doing? My name is Michael, this and that. Mm-hmm. Like, I started now, like, not now, but when I first got here, going to different classes, like workout classes, right, trying to find out, I love basketball, so trying to find out the open runs and things like that, and just meeting people like that on the court. And also, switching my mentality as well to, like, you can have female friends, and you need female friends out here, you know, and just being cool with that.
And being cool with that. No, it's true. I think, and also because they come from other places. I think when I became an expat and I lived in, not more so in London, more so when I got here, because in London, I had the great fortune of having people from the US that were already in London. So I was kind of in this bubble of being an American, around American friends. So I never really had to make a lot of British friends or German friends or people from other different cultures. I think when I got here to the UAE, you realize that, wow, people have very different perspectives.
They do.
Right? They have very different perspectives, especially from people from America, from people from even Britain, or from people from Australia. It's just sort of like, wow, you sort of like start realizing, hey, like, it's okay to have different perspectives and be okay with different perspectives and be tolerant to the other people's beliefs, and you can agree to disagree respectfully.
Exactly.
Right. And I think that when you're back in the US or back in New York, at least for me, you sort of tend to get into this group thing because everybody kind of similar to you, right? Yeah. Nobody's really challenging the way you view things. No one's really giving you a different perspective. Now, I'm not saying everyone's like that, but generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's tough to be on your own and tough to be outside your comfort zone, right? Away from your family and your friends. And I think that's the main reason why people don't move from wherever they're from, right? Because it's sort of, like you said, money's not everything. Yeah. Money's not everything, right? So what are some of the things that you did to sort of battle homesickness, to battle, bouts of like whenever you're in extreme solitude, right? Because you can spend a lot of alone time here.
You have a lot of time. So that's the thing. Like, when you're back home, you visit your parents, you visit your grandparents, your brothers and sisters and things like that, nieces and nephews. Here it's like you work, and then after work, it's like you have all this free time, right? So you could go to the gym, but even after the gym, it's like, all right.
Then you have like another 6 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah,
but tell me not though, at least for me, in my solitude, I realized the things that were important to me, the things that I didn't like. It made me address the things that I've kept at the back of my mind, because when I was back in New York, I was so distracted. I purposely almost distracted myself from those issues. So did you like sort of realize like, wow, like the things that are important to me in that solitude and the time that you had by yourself?
So I went through a phase of trying to occupy my time
to try to purposely
exactly.
And Mike's BS is fun. That's the Patreon though. That's kidding.
That's for the Patreon.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I could see. Okay, I could see. Okay.
Yeah, just going out when you don't need to go out, and just doing dumb stuff, and living the life. Right. So, but then you get to a point where it's like, all right, what really matters? What's important? Yeah. And then just implementing things like, and you know, now it's popular seeing therapists and all that, getting on the app like Better Health, you know,
Headspace.
talking things out, Headspace, exactly, talking things out, exercising.
Journaling is a big thing for me. I like to journal gratitude, being grateful, like to write my thoughts down, whatever they may be, good, bad, indifferent.
Exactly.
Just lets me stress out.
Yeah.
But working out is a big thing for me too now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just finding your core group, solid 2 to 3 people, and you're
you don't need a lot. I
exactly.
realized living in the UAE, I had a lot of friends back in New York, but I realized that I like small groups of people. I need 2 or 3 cats I'm cool with, and that's it. I'm good with that. It's not like I'm seeing you every day anyway. I see you once a week, right? So I think the last point I want to touch on is, so you spoke about your friends and stuff like that. What's your support system? I think before we hit the last point, I think we have to hit people with some technical information here. VPNs are not legal here, right? Yeah. You can't use FaceTime, and you can't use WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yes.
Right?
So stop trying to call me on.
Stop trying to call me on. My grandma stays calling me on WhatsApp. I'm like, Grandma, this doesn't work.
Exactly.
How do I call you? We need to use Zoom.
Exactly.
We need to use Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of video streaming services out here that we can use to get on. So that's a little bit of tidbit, little sprinkle of information out there. But the last point is, what has been your support system here? What do you think? You say the friends, work, right? Like the gym, the therapy. Is it a combination of everything? Is it a routine that you have to sort of keep yourself mentally stable, emotionally stable, right?
Yeah, so it's a combination. And I think also for me, just being a better friend, better son, better brother, you know, consciously now reaching out and setting up time like, hey, I'm going to give you a call and, you know, let's set up this Zoom call like, you know, once a week and just checking in because you can't be there physically for your friends and family back home. But just, you know, making time to like, and getting off the group chat and like, yo, let me call you.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, let's not text. Exactly. Can we get on a call? I've actually gotten closer to certain people in my family by being an expat, but I've gotten further away from certain people as well because I realized, the relationship was only based on proximity to each other, not because we actually had a genuine connection with each other. That goes with friends and family.
That is.
So I did realize who really rocked with me and who kind of was like, you know, out of sight, out of mind, right? So I'm like, damn. Like personally, I haven't had a lot of people come and visit me in London or in the UAE.
Yeah.
I have had a few and I realized those are the people that rock with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and financially, let's take the financial aspect of it because I do appreciate that it is expensive to get here.
It is.
Right. So I did realize, okay, here's my support system. I did become a better family member. I became a better friend. And I kind of worked through a lot of issues that I had and expectations. I dropped a lot of expectations that I had of people because it's just not right to have expectations of people, right? You have to meet them where they're at and see if it's something that you can work on. So yeah, man.
That's something I'm working through.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, cutting down expectations of people and all.
Man, that's a Sagittarius thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. We could talk about the zodiac signs another day, but I think that's a wrap for this episode, man. And again, I want to thank our audience. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Please, again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash that thumbs up button, and share this video for the LFO boys. We really appreciate it. It really get our message out there in this video and just our content out there. You know, we're trying to help as many people as possible to sort of to punch that ticket, get to that destination, take a little bit of a risk, right? Please follow us on IG, TikTok. The LFO podcast page is Last Flight Out Podcast on IG and TikTok. And please, lastly, please leave a comment on what you'd like to see on these videos, right? And any questions you have on being an expat, my experience living in London, Mike's experience living here in the UAE. He's the old head. He knows everything there is to do out here. And whatever, even criticism, right? Any criticism, things that we could do better. Me and Mike always, you know, this is our first time doing this on video, right? So anything that we're here for it, right? So Mike, if there's anything you want to say.
Yeah, no, just follow, like, subscribe. You know where we at.
Yeah, you know.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, tune in next week, same time, same place. Thanks, everyone.
My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day. We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement.
What's going on, man?
Flat out.